Hey everybody, and welcome back. This is my guide for the Winter Olympics 2026. We're going to start off in Milano, and the opening ceremonies will be in San Siro Stadium, home to AC Milan and Inter Milan. Before we start, to head out to some of the other sites, Cortina d'Ampezzo, hosting a lot of the alpine skiing. They had the Olympics in '56 back then. Predazzo and Tessero, they're going to do most of the ski jumping and some of the Nordic combined before we move over to Bormio and Livigno with different events that we'll get into in just a bit. And then finally off to Verona after the 12 days into the Roman amphitheater for the closing ceremonies. All right, so let's take a look at the map here and see just exactly where this all is. So we're up in the north of Italy. You can see Milan down there, Cortina to the upper right. And what you're seeing here also in red are the three major airports that will get you into the Olympic area. So you've got Milan, MXP, Malpensa. You've got Zurich up there, and then it's a 3.5-hour train ride down, or about a 45-minute flight. And over to the east, you do have Venice, which does provide international flights, several even to the US directly. So these are all options. Now, getting from Milan up to some of these places will be possible by train. I'll put all the connections for Trenitalia down in the description below. From Venice, it's not quite as easy, but there is a bus. There's the Cortina Express. Also be linked down below, and you can get from Venice up to Cortina in about 2 hours. It's a lovely, lovely ride going up into the Dolomites. First come out of Venice, you kind of go through kind of the flatlands. Before you hit the Dolomite Mountains, I used to spend some time both summer and winter in Cortina. So I know it's a beautiful ride up there into this valley where Cortina is. Livigno and Bormio up by the Swiss border. And Verona right in the middle. Now, Milan, Verona, Verona, Venice, you're going to find really fast connections with the bullet trains. You can see some of my videos about bullet train riding in Europe up here in the links. But yeah, 300 kilometers an hour, almost 190 miles an hour, connecting you from Milan to Verona to Venice. So great connections there. Now, moving on to a deep dive of the venues. So Milan is the opening ceremonies at San Siro Stadium, as we mentioned in the opening. But they're also going to have figure skating, ice hockey, short track, and speed skating. So both speed skating events will be in Milan. They've had some trouble with the arenas there for ice hockey. People from the NHL were actually over there because hockey is back in for the NHL players after a hiatus of a few Olympiads. They had some concerns, but they think everything will be ready in time for the opening in early February. Now, Cortina is going to have most of the alpine skiing. It's going to have the bobsled. It's going to have curling, luge, and skeleton. Moving on to Livigno and Bormio. Bormio famous for its alpine skiing, and they have many races there during the World Cup season, so they will be hosting some of the alpine skiing as well. Freestyle skiing, snowboarding, and alpine mountaineering. Now, this is a whole new sport. It's actually called ski mountaineering, and I know this from a lot of my friends who do this kind of mountaineering. They go up on mountains on skis. They've got these little chamois pads that go on the bottom of the skis. It helps them have grip on the snow, and they go up really steep mountains where there are no lifts and no people, and then after 4 or 5 hours, they get to ski down on some beautiful powder places. So you're going to be walking up the hill on your skis, taking the skis off, running up a bunch of stairs, skiing down, and then doing it all again. I think there'll be a couple of laps. So it'll be interesting to see this new sport in the Olympics, new for 2026. Okay, Tessero and Predazzo, ski jumping, Nordic combined, and cross-country skiing will all be hosted there in Tessero and Predazzo. So that'll be exciting for them. That's a little bit further south than some of the other ones, kind of on the way to Verona. One last venue for actual sporting events that's up in Anterselva, and the biathlon. So cross-country skiing and shooting will be up there. That's all the way in the northeast, as we saw on the map, tucked up against the Austrian border in what they call South Tyrol. So that will be the only event held up in that small village in the very, very northeastern corner of Italy. And Verona, beautiful city, has this incredible amphitheater from Roman days. They have opera there in the summer, very famous for that, very hard to get tickets for that. And the closing ceremonies will be there in Verona. So that's your quick guide to all the events and all the venues, where everything's going to be. Now let's get into some other things like ticketing. So on the website that you have in the description down below, you will see here that we're in the Olympics.com site, the Olympic Winter Games, the English version. The dates, February 6th to the 22nd. You have all the links, and particularly here, the ticketing link. So if we click on that, we're going to go through, and I've gone through a little bit already to kind of prepare for this, and boy, is it expensive. Now, let's just go to the opening ceremonies. We'll do the closing ceremonies, and we'll pick like downhill skiing, ice hockey, ski jumping. We'll pick just a couple of things and go right through. So first off, opening ceremony, starting at $260. There are still tickets available. If we click on that, we can see the seat map overview. If we can expand that, we have 4 categories of tickets. Reserved seating, A, B, C, and D. And we can look at the prices now for that. It said starting at $260, but $260 is category D, which is that level of green up here, the nosebleeds seats, in a stadium of 75,000 people. So tough seats to have at $260 a pop. You know, people are talking about the World Cup soccer this summer coming up in the United States and how expensive those tickets are. I was just at an NFL Europe game in Madrid back in November, and those were really pricey, but we're seeing tickets here from $260 up to 2,000 euros per seat. Now, if we go back one level and look at the hospitality packages, there are a few options in here to look at, and one of those is the classic and one is premium. And now hold on, because look at that, 3,250 euros per person for the classic. And then the high end, which has better food, is almost 9,000 euros per ticket. 9,000 euros per ticket in today's world is over $10,000 a ticket per person for the opening ceremonies with the hospitality package. So craziness. In the drop downs here, you get to choose events, dates, region. You can clear all those filters, and now you get like the full list of everything that's available. If you sort here, lowest price first, the cheapest ticket at the Olympics this year, men's 10-kilometer freestyle cross-country skiing at 150 euros per person, so about $170 right now. Got to pay about $1.17 to get a euro these days. All right, and then in general, the ski cross-country skiing is the least expensive across the board. Now, if we go back, clear everything. Now we got the dates. Hockey we have here right up on the thing. Women's preliminary round, $325 a ticket. If we go over and say, like I said, alpine skiing, we want the men's downhill. One of the prime events is going to be on the 7th, just the second day, just the day after the opening ceremonies. That's actually interesting. If anybody who's walking in with the flags at night in San Siro for the opening ceremonies, and they got to be on the hill at like 9 in the morning the next day for an 11:30 race, that's not easy, because that's, you know, a 3 or 4 hour drive. They might be flying people. Cortina doesn't have much of an airport, if any. So difficult scheduling there. Men's downhill skiing, alpine skiing, $475 per ticket. And this is really fascinating, because when you're in that arena, and I love skiing, I love downhill skiing, I would love to go, but you're in the horseshoe where they come through the finish line. It's not the best view of the race. You know, you might do better up on the side someplace. You Probably always going to do a lot better watching TV. Sure, they're going to have huge screens. You're going to be able to watch. But you're only going to see the actual ski racer coming down those last 3-4 seconds in the downhill final sprint. I think the slalom you might see a little better, but boy, 475 is the absolute least expensive piece there. As you see, Winter Essentials, 475 on the Stelvio, in Bormio actually, and then the premium is 2,850 per person. You know, lounge, chef attended, Italian inspired buffet. Why not just call it Italian food buffet? Why Italian inspired? I don't get it. Anyway, premium hospitality stuff, I think it's mostly ego for people these days. Not really my thing. Let's take one more look now. We're going to go and see the closing ceremony. So what we'll do is we'll just scroll up here and look at Verona, because that's where the closing ceremonies are going to be. And there's only one option here, 10,000 euros per person, $11,600 per person for the closing ceremonies to sit in the ancient amphitheater of Verona and watch what athletes are still there, parade through again, and close down the Olympiad for 2026 Winter Games. Boy, again, you know, a nice dinner featuring fine Italian cuisine and premium beverage pairings, a Category A ticket, most premium section. Yeah, I don't see other, like you can't choose a seat there. But 10,000 is the only option for the closing ceremonies. 10,000 per ticket. That's heavy duty. That's what we have for the tickets pricing. The link again will be down below, so take a look for yourself. If you're heading out there to the Olympics, hopefully you've gotten your tickets already. If not, there seem to be plenty of tickets still available, and I don't know if it's because the pricing is so high. Snow looks to be good. From what I've seen, the Alps got hit pretty hard this week. It's cold enough to make snow, so between the natural snow and the snow that they're making, everything looks to be in good order for the events coming up in just 2.5 weeks here. So that's it for pricing. And now it's going to move on to one more section, and we're going to talk about who some of the big stars are, who the favorites are for this Olympiad. All right, time to talk about some of the favorites at this year's Winter Olympics. Mikaela Shiffrin, women's alpine skiing. She's set all kinds of records now with the most victories ever by any alpine ski racer, with over 100. She has 15 World Championship medals. I think 7 of those are gold, 3 Olympic medals, 2 of those are gold. And she is looking like the hands down favorite to win gold in the slalom this time around. She's won, I think, 5 of the last 6 World Cup slalom races. And rumor has it that she is talking to Lindsey Vonn, who's back at age 42 now and has won a couple of races this year in downhill, that the two of them are going to combine to get together in the combined event and go for another gold. So there's a really good shot that Mikaela Shiffrin could end up with 2 golds. Now, moving on to figure skating. Ilya Malonin, probably the most famous men's figure skating athlete right now. He's called the quad god because he does so many quadruple axel jumps. And the only thing missing from his resume is an Olympic gold. So he's won 2 world championships, 3 Grand Prix finals, 4 US championships. This guy's only 21 and he's already won all that. So he's definitely in line for Olympic gold this time around. Back to alpine skiing, Marco Odermatt, absolute dominator of the World Cup skiing for the past 3 seasons. And he will be looking to win in downhill, Super G, and possibly even giant slalom. Don't put it past him to come away with 3 medals in this Olympiad. And finally, over to ski jumping, Domen Prejuc from Slovenia. We all know about Tadej Pogačar in cycling, but the Slovenians are amazing in ski jumping, and many of them have come from that discipline. I think it's Primož Roglič who started his career as a ski jumper. Domen Prejuc is dominating the World Cup this year. I think he's won 4 or 5 of the last 6 ski jumping events in the World Cup, including the Four Hills tournament that takes place every year between Christmas and Three Kings. 4 stations between 2 in southern Germany and 2 in Austria. The biggest tournament of the year in ski jumping, and he dominated that. So look for him. He has a potential for 3 gold medals here because Slovenia is a very strong team, and he's looking at the small hill, the large hill, and the team competition all being possible. I have to double check if they're doing a mixed event, men and women ski jumping. If they are, he could do 4 medals. So let's see what happens. But those are my 4 picks to really dominate in these winter games. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed this preview of the upcoming Winter Olympics. There's a lot to talk about. And starting on February 6th, we'll be glued to our television sets watching all the action. So hope you'll enjoy that, and see you next time. Bye now.